Strip. Hello, everybody. My name is Matthew. Another trainer here at Toonami. Today we're going to do drop and count for your Casino Hollywood. First thing I want to show you guys for our drop team. I had a couple questions. I know that from previous meetings that we are not, as a drop team, we are importing the count ourselves. We're going to count the cash and Tito's, and then we're going to create that file through the Cummings machine, and then we are going to import that ourselves. I have a quick question. On our drops, how are we doing the drop? Do we have an idea? Are we doing daily? Are we doing the whole floor at one time? Are we doing partial drops?
We'll be doing the whole floor for a couple of weeks to see how we're gonna do our schedule.
Okay, yeah, so you're doing the whole floor at a time. I'll just go off that, my train as that. We'll just assume that it's daily. I mean, however you guys decide to do your drops, I'll just train as if we're dropping daily. So the first thing I wanted to show us as a drop team is what we're gonna look like when we log in. Excuse me?
It's a busy day already. Got some licorice, I got licorice. I have different flavors.
Okay, so I'm going to show you guys what it will look like when we log into a machine to start our drop. So I will mention putting machines in the build drop and stuff as I go through the demonstration of drop. This is what it's like. We will come in and we will insert our card into a machine. So anytime I talk about that, inserting your card machine.
Through like the audit stuff for Konami, especially kind of thing.
I think Russ,
I bet it
Robin.
is.
Yes.
Robin, did you have a question?
No, I don't.
All right, so here we are. So this is what happens when you log in. So you log in, we'll put our card in, and then we'll have to enter our PIN, right? And then we'll hit the green check mark. So there's our menu. As the drop team, we might have more access on our TTDs. So again, we've carded into an actual gaming machine. So right now we're essentially looking, this is a simulator we have of to simulate what you would look like looking into the TTD, the little screen on, I don't have it on this one, the little screen on the actual machine. So we card in, we enter our PIN, we get to this menu. What we're going to be interested in as the drop team is mainly just build drop. We would press our build drop button, and this is how we're going to begin. And since we're dropping the whole floor at once, we're just going to begin zones in zones. Right, we're just gonna, that's how we're gonna do it. So as I go through the instructions.
We're gonna do banks.
Oh, they are doing banks?
$24.
Oh, okay, so we'll do banks and in banks. So as I go through the instructions, that's what we're doing. We're carding in, we're saying, okay, we're going to build drop, say begin, we hit it, we do our drop, we'd come back to this button, and then the beginnings will be grayed out and we would end. I'll go through all this very shortly. I just want to give you a heads up, a look at what you're looking at. You card in, you hear, you go build drop. That's pretty much all we're going to do as a drop team to the actual machines themselves. So now that we've got any to the TDD, let me go through our drop. So all right, so what is drop mode, right? Drop mode, a machine is either in or out of drop mode. That's the only two status the machine exists. Okay, when in drop mode, the EGM should not be played. That means no cash, no vouchers in, nothing. It's up to your protocols. If you're doing a drop because you are 24/7, it sounds like you're dropping while open. You will run into this problem. You will have to establish some sort of protocols of what you do if a patron should be playing on a machine that you're trying to drop. You cannot have the patron playing while you're doing the drop. So it's up to you guys to decide, do you wait for the patron? Do you ask him to stand up for 5 minutes? It's up to you guys how to get that protocols. But once you're doing the drop and you start for that bank and there's a patron playing, he's gonna need to stop playing. Anything that you put into that machine, cash, vouchers, any play that you do while we are in drop mode will not be recorded. We will then present a variance for auditing and our reporting. Our numbers will not match. It's very important that when your machine is in drop mode, no cash or vouchers in. Beginning the drop mode stops the meters for the current drop period, and when you end your drop mode, you reset the meters back to 0. So essentially you're putting a machine into drop, you're snapping the meters at that exact point, and when you end drop mode, you're setting those meters back to 0 so they can then start accounting for whatever play is happening from that moment on, which is why it's important that there is no play while it is in drop mode, because those will not be recorded. And when you do the next drop that machine, you will have extra money, extra Tito's that the machine has no idea is there. Once you in drop mode, the patron can go back to the machine, do whatever they like. It doesn't matter now. You can continue your drop. It doesn't matter what he's doing because you've already taken that meter snap and you can deal with the cash and everything on your time. Any questions about that? Awesome. So your gaming machine drop, right? So the overview. The rollover occurs, which is when your gaming day begins. I don't happen to know when your gaming day is. For instruction purposes, let's assume your gaming, let's assume your gaming day is 6 a.m. Okay, so the rollover happens at 6. So what we're gonna do as a drop team is we're gonna have to wait we'll probably wait 10 to 15 minutes after 6. That allows the system to catch up with that previous day so that all the meters are correct, everything's caught up, that we can continue our drop and we can get an accurate snap of those meters. So the rollover happens. So let's say for this instance, I don't know what your gaming day, but let's say for this instance it's 6 a.m. We would wait till 6:15 and then we begin our drop. We replace our cash cans, we end our drop. There's 2 reports that we'd have to run and review. The drop mode report and the machine drop status report. I will go over all of this in depth. We'll perform the count. We're going to import the cash and tickets, and then it's up to our procedures on whether we're finalizing or we're just importing and we're letting audit do all the rest. So the process, right? So the gaming day ends. So in our instance, it's 6 a.m. Begin rollover, right? So we as a drop team, we wait 15 minutes. Cool. It's 6:15. Let's go drop. We're going to insert our employee card into an EGM. We're dropping by bank. I can enter my card into any machine in that bank. It does not matter. They're all connected. I'll put the first machine I drop is probably the first one I'll put my PIN into card into, right? I'd enter my PIN like I previously showed you. You would then select bill drop. You would then select begin your device, bank, or zone. Now, we can drop a whole zone at once, a bank at once, or a device, a single device. This is how you would do it. In our instances, we're dropping by banks. So we would begin, we go over here and select begin bank. Once we do, we will get a message that says bill drop started. You'll also see on the TTD of every machine in that bank, there'll be a red stripe across the top. It'll let you know these machines are in drop mode. You'll clearly see, you can say, okay, those machines are in drop. I can now pull that hot can, replace it with that cold can, and then go about to the next machine. Go to the next machine, go to the next machine. If, for instance, this example, our bank has 20 machines in this bank, and I've parted in to the first machine, and I put my PIN in, and I began drop. Then we walked around, we saw that it was in drop, and we started pulling cans for those 20 machines, right? At the end, I'm on that 20th machine. I can card into that machine again. I can end a drop and begin to drop at any machine located in that area. For instance, if I decided to drop by zone, like maybe you have 2 zones, and I decided to drop by zone, I can card into any machine in zone 1 and to start it, and I can card into any machine in zone 1 to end it. So I can start my bill drop at the first machine I go to, and then maybe end it at the last machine I drop, It does not matter as long as you're in the same bank, right? So I've inserted my employee card into the machine in that bank that we're dropped. I pin in again. I go back to bill drop, except this time, as you can see, the begins would be grayed out. I only have the option to end because I've already started. I would then select in bank, and it'll give me another message letting me know bill drop has ended. That's what I want to see. I want to see the machine say bill drop started. I want to take my cans out and I want to see bill drop ended. Then the TTDs should go back to normal and it would look like every other machine on the floor. So in review, you're inserting your card, you're pinning in, you're pressing begin bill drop, you're verifying on the machines that it started, you pull your cans, you place your cold cans. Once you're done with that bank, you reinsert into any machine on the bank, you end bill drop, and you verify that the drop has ended. Any questions on your process of the drop? I'm sure you guys know how to do that already. Is there any questions?
Hey, Matt,
Yes, T.
quick comment. Can you talk about the importance of not doing drop, starting it from, back to back?
Okay, yeah, so what T is referencing here is when you begin drop. Like I said, let me go to this previous slide. What Terrence is talking about here is when you begin that drop, you are stopping the meters at 0. And then when you press in drop, when you begin that drop, you're taking that snapshot of the meters. So whatever my machine took in that day, and when I press in drop, I'm setting those meters to 0. So what Terrence is referring here is the disaster is it would be a big mistake for you to begin drop on a machine. So I come into a bank, I card in, I begin drop, and then maybe I come in and I accidentally press end drop. So now I've took the meter snap and I press end drop and I set it to 0. And I'm like, oh no, did I not do that right? I didn't pull my cans. Did I begin? I'm gonna try to begin drop again. What that does is once I press begin drop again, I've now taken another meter snap of 0, right? So the drop that the first drop I did when I first walked up to the machine and I pressed begin and I pressed end, that meter snap is now gone. That drop is now gone. I've erased that drop with my next drop that was like 2 seconds long where I began and end again. So it's very important, like Terrence was saying, that once you begin drop, you've made sure that you are in drop and that you get your cans and that you end drop only once. You only want to put a machine into drop mode once. You want to put into drop mode, get that meter snap, in that drop mode, reset it, then wait for the next day. We have reports and different ways to tell if that machines that you tried to put in drop did indeed get into drop, which is really the next few reports we show. That is the way you should check. You should not just try to run drop again. That is very bad. You will erase your previous information. That's a whole fiasco. So that's a great point by Terrence. Make sure you're only doing this once. If you're not sure that you put a machine or a zone or a bank into drop, there's reports that we can run and there's ways we can find out before just doing another drop. You don't want to do a drop on top of a drop. You will erase all the meters. Great point, Terrence. Thank you. Any other questions about the process before I get into your reports? All right, perfect. So, like I said, we've carded in. We've gone through all our machines. Let's say we're dropping, we dropping the whole floor at a time, right? So let's say for our instance, we have 3 banks and we've gone through. We've dropped bank 1 successfully. We go to bank 2, we card in, we begin bank, we drop bank 2. We go to bank 3, we card in, we begin, we drop it, and then we end bank 3. We're now done. Before we go to start counting, and realistically, if you had a terminal on the floor somewhere near where you're dropping, you should use it. Maybe take the time to go back to your station. We have 2 reports that we are gonna wanna run before we start the count. So the first of that is the drop mode report. I will go into Synchros after this PowerPoint and show you guys hands-on and firsthand how to do this, but I want to show you what you're looking at, what to look for, and the details. So the first report is our drop mode report. This says whether a machine, if there's any machines in your property still in drop mode. That's all this report does. It doesn't have any parameters, but we want to see, again, it's found in your slot accounting drop mode report. We want to see blank. Blank is good, right? In this instance, in our example here, we have a training room zone, bank train 1, we have machine 5002, it's still in drop mode. So what happens is we went through that bank, we started that drop, we dropped those bank cans, and then we ended that drop. But for some reason, and it'll happen, 5002 hung up. It did not end drop. So if report's not blank, it's at this point that we're going to print this report out as proof that this machine did not go into drop. And we, as a drop, we're going to go to that machine. So I would go to 5002 physically. I would card into that machine. And if you remember on your build drop menu, there was end and begin device, bank, and zone. At this point, this machine, for some reason, has hung up and dropped. We're going to this machine, we're carding in, we're pinning in, we're going to build drop, and we should see this in drop mode. We're going to select in device. We don't want to select in bank. We don't want to select in zone because we've already done that. This machine, this device is still in drop. We're going to in device. That should take it out of drop mode. Then what we'll do is go back to that terminal, rerun that report, which should now be blank. Blank is good. And then we can save or print according to our procedure of what we're going to do to show that we had a machine hang up and drop. We went to it. We solved the problem. We reran our report. And we can see that it is no longer in drop. We are good. We have no machines in drop, that we have successfully done our job. And the reason for this, because obviously if that machine is still in drop, any money or tickets or anything a patron puts into 5002 is not being recorded. We're going to have a huge variance. We're going to have to, audit will have a hard time going back finding that because the machine's not recording anything, because during drop, we're supposed to have no play. So that's why it's important that we're running this report before we stop the drop, before we go to the count room. We want to make sure that we're not leaving the floor with any machines in drop. That is not good, very bad. We want to make sure that we have pulled all of our machines at drop. Every time we do a drop, we are running this report and we are seeing blank, and that is good. That means we can go start our count. Right? Any questions on your drop mode report? Perfect. The next one we're going to run. So there's 2. The other one is machine drop status report, right? So again, this is found in our slot accounting department. It's our module, I'm sorry, it's our machine drop status report. This lists all our active machines. And if they were put into drop and the start and end. So you'll see, was it put into drop? It'll say a start time and an end time. This is verifying that the scheduled machines have been dropped. So if we're supposed to drop bank 2, bank 1, 2, and 3 today, this report will print out and it'll let us know that every machine entered build mode and then did not. If you're seeing a machine that's active that should have had a build drop but did not, you want to go investigate this, that we might be missing information we're not going to balance. There's 2 reports that we want to run before we start our count. This is the second one. So we want to make sure, one, the drop mode report, that we have no machines in drop. And then the second report you want to run is the machine drop status report that lets us know that we did put our zones and our banks and our machines into drop and they're out of drop and we are good to go. Is there any questions on the process of the drop and your 2 reports? Okay, then I'm gonna go into Synchros and show you how we're gonna do this, right? So when loading Synchros, I'll hit my icon and then this will pop up. This is command prompt. This has to run in order for Synchros to run. If I was to close this command prompt, then whatever I'm doing in Synchros won't matter. It will close out. So what we suggest is just minimize it, just set it, forget it. I'm gonna go ahead and log in. You would then log in with your username and your password. It'll take some time. I'm on Wi-Fi, sorry. All right, so how do I know I've logged in? You can see at the top here, this is a global toolbar. This is populated and colored. It was blank and grayed out before. You would have seen, if we paid attention very closely, a little message in the bottom left. And we can clearly see in the bottom right here, we have our game site, which, you know, should be Casino Queen Hollywood. We have our username, so I'm logged in as an admin. Our location, it defaults to case, but it'll be whatever business aspect we're working in. And really important, especially for us as a drop, is that gaming day says the correct gaming day we're on. If not, the shift hasn't rolled correctly, we want to stop what we're doing, notify our manager something's going on, right? Like the day didn't correctly roll, we're not on that correct gaming day. So that's the first thing I would check logging in. Next, we have up here what is called our Synchros menu button. Pressing it, it's like your Windows button on your computer, kind of where we're going to navigate everything through. We can change our password here by entering our old and our new one twice. You'll see all the red will then black out, allowing you to then press your change password button, which would then change your password. Disconnect logs you out, but doesn't close out Synchros, but then pressing the exit button will log you out and close out Synchros all at once, so be careful about that. Below that's our modules. I'm logged in as an administrator. So these modules and whatever form is in said module is based on my role. And so us as a drop team, we're probably only going to have a few modules with a few forms. So you won't see this much stuff. This is just because I'm logged in a train instance as an admin. Up top is our global toolbar up here. We have a search button. So for instance, if I search up drop, I will now see all the reports right here that have the word drop in them, and then all the forms at the bottom that have the word drop. And they're blue hyperlinked. Clicking on it will just take me to that report, or clicking on it will take me directly to that form. Okay. Right after that is reports. Hitting that will give me, again, these are role-based, so I have a lot of reports. You as the drop team, us as the drop team, we're not going to have this many reports. But this is how you print a report. This is how I would get to my drop mode report. I'll do very shortly. Tools here, there's only a couple that would really interest us. We might have to run into a situation where we're at a terminal that is touchscreen. Maybe if we're trying to run our drop mode report on the floor to let us know that we don't have any machines hung up before we go back to the count, and the only terminal we can use is maybe the pit. You click the double chevrons right here under your close, and we can enable tile view. Right now, I'm in classic view. That's the view I like, but enabling tile view is touchscreen. This allows you to now touch a module and see all the forms in it. You can then touch that to go to it. It has the same search up here. I can hit drop. It's giving me all the reports with drop, and then all the forms with drop, and clicking them, which difference between the two. And then again, the tools up here that I would use is if I'm on this touch screen and I need to enter numbers or letters, obviously I don't have a keyboard. That's where this would come into play. I can enable my alphabetic and my numeric keypad so that I can put information in that I needed. But I'm going to go back to classic view because that's what I like. And another thing with Synchros is anything we do, the bottom left is going to send a message letting us know. That's going to stay in our history tab. Hitting that allows us to know everything we've done. So if I ran a report and I didn't remember if I did or not, I can just hit history and it'll let me know, oh, hey, you know, yes, report processed. I can clearly see I've already ran my report. So now, since we're talking about reports, is there any question about basic nav of Synchros? Perfect. Okay, so we've done the drop, right? We've walked around. We've carted into our banks. We've began drop mode. We pulled our cans. We've ended drop mode, went to the next bank, so on and so on. It is now time that we run our 2 reports we need to run so that we can take it to the next step and we can go to count. So if you remember, those 2 reports are drop mode report and machine drop status report. Those are all found in the slot accounting module. Now, again, I'm on admin, so I have access to pretty much everything. But if I go down the menu on the left is your module, and on the right is the report name. So if I go down to slot accounting, it's alphabetical. I can see here's my drop mode report. Okay, I've highlighted it. I can see that in dark blue. In order to run a report on Syncros, I have to do 2 things. I want to hit preview first and then run. Right? Nothing happened. Well, Syncros lets you print more than 1 report at a time, which is pretty cool. And you know, we know as a drop team that we need to print what? Machine drop status report. So
A drop.
oh, boom. All right, perfect. So Angelo set up so this is what we would look like. This is our slot. I'm no longer an admin. I'm in a drop role. I have access to whatever we've assigned my role. So me being a member of the drop team, I only have access to slot accounting and table game accounting forms. When I hit reports, it brings up all my reports I have access to. So I can clearly see drop mode is right here. Again, I've highlighted in blue, hit preview, hit run. Again, nothing happened because I can also go to my machine drop status report, hit preview, hit run. Now this time, a parameters box popped up. Parameters are the ingredients for the report. My drop mode report had no parameters because why? It's only showing whether machines are in drop on your floor live. It has no other option. It can do nothing else. But machine drop status report, we can scan this. We can do certain things with it. We have 5 parameters here. 2 have double asterisk. Those are required. I cannot run this report without having some sort of information for those. So I'd put in the drop day. Say we're dropping the 4th. Sort by machine is fine. So I have the drop I just did. I say, okay. So I've ran my drop road report. I've ran my machine drop status report. I am now ready to hit that process reports button. So this is exactly what you want to see on a machine drop status report, a drop mode report, right? You want to see blank. That means I have no machines hung up in drop. This is perfect. This is exactly what I want to see. I don't need to then go out and go to a machine, pin in drop on that device. I'm good. My floor is good. The other report we had was your machine drop status report. Here's our report menu. You can see the report name up top left. And then the right, these are the parameters I've entered. So this report is being ran according to the parameters I entered, if you remember, on that little window. So I can print this directly. I can view 1 page or multiple pages at a time. I can zoom in, zoom out. I can export this report directly to a PDF, or I can export it directly to a CSV if I want to cut it up in Excel. We have a full screen and a close here. They're just like these. We suggest using close here because if I get click happy here and then maybe I click out of Syncros, well, I've just erased all the information I didn't save and I now have to relog in. And then next to these runs, you see these blue question marks. If I'm trying to run my machine drop status report and maybe one of the parameters I'm not quite sure of, I hit that blue question mark, it brings me to a help doc. Every report we have is in here. It's very helpful. It's going to lay out the report. So what the report does. So everything it's doing, what it's looking for. And then great here is I can get on the sample. It'll actually give me a picture of the report ran correctly. So this is what a machine drop status report looks like. Here's how you would have your zones in your machines. And then you would have, instead of NA, theoretically, you would want to see a bunch of start and end times all the way down, because you want to see these machines have entered and ended zone, drop, I'm sorry. This is essentially what we're using this report for. If you have a machine on the floor that's active but down and not playing, it'll have an NA because it's not connected, but you already know that, so you would just ignore that one. But if you have a live machine, like say all my machines are good, I expect every machine to return to me something. I want to make sure on this report, I'm looking at build start time and end times, and they're both there. If not, I want to go investigate that machine. It might still be in drop mode. There might be something happened. Maybe it didn't enter. The meter snap would not have occurred. So that's investigating. That's where I want to make sure that I've done my job right so that I can move on to the next step. Is there any questions about running your report? So we've done our count. I have to run these 2 reports before we start to do, I've done my drop, excuse me. I have to run these 2 reports before I do that count. Is there any questions on that? Right, so we're gonna go down. So we've done the drop, right? We've done the drop. We've done the reports. We know that our floor has been dropped. We don't have any machines in hang up. That would be a big deal to us. We're good. We can now start the actual count. We'll go to the count room. We'll put our boxes into the Cummings. It'll do its thing. It'll spit out, depending on your machine, a paper that you would then hand type into a program, or the machine actually builds a count for yourself. It then does the count file, right? So we've done the drop. We've ran the reports. We've put the money and the Tito's, everything into the Cummings. It has created a count file for us. It's time for us to put that into the system. So that's where we're going down to number 4. Count takes place. So I'm going to slot accounting, soft count import form. So I'm going to hit my synchronous menu button. I'm going to slot accounting module, soft count import. So I'm going to bring up a help doc because we don't have a system head up to it. But this is what it would look like. We would have our game site. So say Hollywood up here. We'd have our zones and then our banks. So however it's set up, you might have 3 zones, 4 banks, however you guys decide, it's all going to be here. We would click on our game site. And we're going to come over here and we're going to choose the drop data count. So we're going to choose the import file to import. Keep in mind, this is very important right here. If we come over to our drop data count and there's a previous day in there, then we need to stop everything we're doing and we need to finish that previous day first. We need to finish that previous import first. If I'm coming in, for instance, say it's the 19th. And so say I hit this to start my count. We've done the count. We have the file ready. And I see the 18th there. I'm gonna be, oh, hold up. We got to stop. For some reason, we did not import or finalize the 18th. If we were to go ahead and finalize the 19th before the 18th, we've just created a huge problem for ourselves and auditing. We need to go in sequential order day by day. So if we're dropping every 3 days and I'm dropping for the 18th, but I still see the 15th up here, I need to handle that 15th drop first. Then once that is done, I can come back here and continue on the 18th. If for some reason there was the 12th too, I would have to start at the 12th, finish that, go to the 15th, finish that. And then now I'm ready to do my current drop. It's really important that you get that done. The earliest days are done. Theoretically, we're great, right? We're a good drop team. We're on top of our stuff. We are always just going to have our current day there, and we are always going to be ready to go. But we're making sure that if there's not our current day there, that we somehow didn't finish the previous days, we will not do our current day until we finish those previous days and finalize that, get that all done, and we move on to the current days so that our reporting matches. So that's our job. Our job is to drop the cash, get it ready for audit so they can make the money balance and then send it off to accounting. And that's our job in the train. So back to my help doc. I'm selecting a drop day. It's our current day, so we're cool. So I select it. I can then import cash. So now your Cummings has either built a cash and a ticket. So your cash has gone separately and your Tito's are another count file. I'm going to hit import cash count. So I've chosen the correct data drop. I hit import cash count. It now looks on my computer for that count file. I would then select it. I would then go to import ticket count. I would press that. It would go to the file. I would select it. Once I do, you can see that now the machines are populated with our count file, all the information that we have done, right? So now I don't, depending on the protocols, whether we're done here and we now leave it for audit to manage the balancing and the adjusting of the count, we have done our job of importing it in. We can see that the information has gone in, and any sort of adjustments or variances that will need to be made, they can now be made by audit. So we've imported, it's all in here. We built the count. We've gone through our cache. We did our ticket, right? So we're coming through, we're saving, and we can print that import report, which is essentially just a pre-import report. It's a preliminary report. It will give us balance of what we've just imported, and we can now run that against our tape. Because at the bottom of our form, you'll see your imported amount, the rejected amount. So any Tito, any Cal, any bill that the machine just did not like, that puts it into its own rejected file, and then the grand total. So counting your import and your rejected should match your grand total, which should match your grand total on your count slip, right? So that's what we're doing. We're letting you know that what we have imported matches what we took, what the count machine says. So that's down here. Once we do that, we've saved machines. We've gone through up here our banks, our zones. We've saved the machines. We've imported all our slot files. We print that import report. That import report prints. At the bottom, we'll have our totals. We run that against our totals from our count tape. Theoretically, they balance because we're an awesome drop team, and that's great. We have imported successfully. Any questions on how we're going to import our slot file? Okay, so next, now that we've imported it, it's time to finalize that soft count. So I'm going back to my my slot synchronous menu button, going to slot accounting, soft count. So again, depending on your procedures, this is generally what auditing would do. Maybe depending on your procedures, whether you finalize or audit finalizes, but this is how we're going to go through the process. We're going to come up here and we're going to choose a drop date account. Again, I'm going to go to my help doc. Again, if there is a previous day in this drop down, we are going to finalize that day first. We cannot finalize the 19th or the 18th before the 15th, 16th, and 17th. We have to go in order, the earliest day first. If for some reason that's there, we're going to need to stop what we're doing. We're going to handle it. But we're a great drop team. We're on top of our stuff. We're always getting our stuff done on time. So we just choose our most recent drop day, and then we do a transfer. Depending on our protocols, are we going to take this money and give it to a main bank? Are we going to send it to like an actual bank? What are we going to do? That's available for us. We would then have to pick the repository or the bank, right, that we are transferring the drop to. I'll go back to my help doc. So we've chosen the drop day, which is good. We only have one in there and we got it. We're going to finalize it to main game. Sure. So we select on our game site. And again, just like our import form, we have all of our zones, all of our banks, and then all of our machines. And clicking on such will display the totals for such. You're going to come through here, make sure all this is good, right? What we do not want to do on this form, the big no-no, is this import button. If I press this import button form on my finalized form, see, it's very different from my soft count form. The form that I'm actually importing, these small buttons right here. But if I go to my finalized form and I press this import button, I've erased everything I've just done, and the computer is now looking for an import file again. It's going to go to my computer and it's going to want me to import that count file again. But everything I just did on the previous page is now replaced by that. So we do not want to press this button. We've already imported. This form is mainly for making adjustments here. Say this machine needed an adjustment, the count file is wrong. I can make my adjustment here, right? Move down, save that machine, And then once I've done that to all my machines, all my banks, again, this is training, you're not gonna have this many, I can print that soft count report. And what that will do is just like my last form, it gives me a preliminary report that'll give me my totals at the bottom that I can verify with my count tape that I am importing and finalizing the correct amount. So again, this form is for making adjustments to your final adjustment to your count, saving it, and finalizing. Depending on your procedures, we as a drop team might not even do this. This might be an audit thing, but it's up, depending on the procedures, we can. But what we will do for sure is we're gonna drop the money, we're gonna put the money into a count machine, and then we are gonna import it. And then it's gonna be on our procedures whether we finalize or audit finalizes. But we have done our job of getting that money out and importing it. Any questions on how to finalize your soft count that you've imported? Perfect. Okay, so the last thing we got here is this table count form. So just like our soft count, what this form will do is this will import with that count file that we dumped our cans into our Cummings. It'll import that count file and allow us to adjust and finalize. And so again, depending on our procedures, we can come in here and just import, or we can come in here, import and finalize. So we would come in here, we would choose the table that we're importing. The day, again, I'm going to stress it again. If there's previous days and shifts in here, we have to stop what we're doing and we have to handle that first. We should only see one, and it should only be our current day and shift that we're dropping, what we're trying to drop. If we're seeing earlier days, we need to stop what we're doing, figure out why, finalize those, then we can go to our current day. So say we're good again, we're a great drop team, there's only one day, we select it. Again, if I'm going to transfer this to another repository, here's where I would select. And then I have my table, I have my game, I have my day. I press import. And again, there's an option here, but we don't have CWAs. So we're never going to worry about CWA or this with CWA payout button. This is going to default to table count. I'm going to hit import, and it's going to import from the Cummings file all the information for this table. At this time, if I'm just importing as a drop team, we're going to save the tables, print the preliminary report, which let us know that we can, again, go to the bottom of the report, justify that with our count slip, letting us know that we have then balanced our drop. We have imported our tables to what our tables should say. And our procedures, we're either done or at this point we would make adjustments and finalize. But that seems like an audit job. So as a drop team, depending on our procedures, if we're just done at import, we import, we go through each one, making sure they're all in there. We import, we save, move to the next table. Import, save. We're importing and we're saving to make sure that all our tables are in. If we, for instance, have a promo voucher or anything not cash at a table, it's down here in the others, we can put that in. We can put, maybe they brought chips from another casino. We can put that in here manually and then save that table count. So we are making sure that what we're getting from the drop is going on to that table, it's being recorded, and it's ready for audit to do their thing. So just like the other form, this one's importing, but a little different is the table names we can import and finalize on the same form, unlike your soft count. If I've done that, I've saved this, I've recorded all my machines I've imported, that transfer tab, that's when I could, if I'm now at this time, again, this is probably more for something of audit or finance to do, but I could then transfer my drop into a receiving repository. If we're just putting all our drops in the main bank, that way now the main bank reflects and we have a paper trail for when we physically put that cash and apply it to that bank. But again, what we are probably doing as a drop team is really just importing, adding any extra promo chips that we have, any foreign chips, maybe some vouchers for a holiday, anything extra, not cash, putting that in, verifying that our numbers match, saving. Once we're all done, printing that prelim report, matching that to our count slip, we're done. We have imported, the numbers match, it's now up to audit, right, to make the numbers match what they should. We have made sure that what the money that we took in, we have put into the system. Any questions on your table games import? Awesome. All right, well, I mean, that's it, guys. For the drop, that's all we do. We take the money, we get it from the machines, we count it, we get those files. We make sure that we're importing the correct amount of money and Tito's and everything, and it's up to audit to make sure everything bounces. Is there any questions on the process, any other reporting, navigating around synchros, any questions you have? I'd be glad to help. If I don't have the answer, I can also get the answer to you. No questions at all? All right, I mean, that's all I have for you guys. I appreciate it. Appreciate the time. Thanks for listening to me. Again, you know, if you have any questions, we will be on site during the go live. You know, you reach us. We have plenty of people there. Any questions you have about the process, we'll be there for your first drop. Hopefully, we'll be there to help. Any questions, any problems, that's our job. But if there's no other questions, that's all I got for you guys. I appreciate the time you've given me.
Thank you, everyone.